What's up? You are listening to the TCP podcast. I am Tyler Clark, your host, and this is the official podcast of TC Performance or Tyler Clark Performance. I really appreciate everybody who's tuning in right now. I've really wanted to start a podcast for a while. Anybody who's been following me on Instagram at TC_performance_. I've been doing a lot of stuff on Instagram, slowly getting into TikTok, so you kind of know what I'm about. Performance and basketball, but that kind of gets me into this podcast. My overall goal with the podcast is to discuss basically everything you can think of regarding basketball and performance. So this first episode, I have two main goals. I want to give you guys some background information on me, a little bit about my story, what performance means to me, all that good stuff. And then two, I want to discuss the goals for this show going forward, what the format's going to be like, interview versus solo, both, the content, all this good stuff. So without further ado, I'll get into the first aspect of this first episode. My name is Tyler Clark. As I've mentioned, I am 21 years old and I was born in California. I lived there for about the first 5 years of my life, and then my parents decided to move to New Hampshire, where I actually consider myself from. I wasn't in California long enough to really consider myself being from California, so I was born there, but I was really raised in New Hampshire. I went to elementary school, middle school, high school, all in New Hampshire. That's really where I'm from, and that's where I consider I'm from. But being there, I played basketball all my life. I love the training aspect of the sport. I love locking myself in a gym for hours, the weight room and court. I played in high school. I won a championship my senior year, and then I went on to then play 2 years at a small community college in South Portland, so Southern Maine Community College, and it was a really cool experience. So some of you guys might hear community and then college, so you might think this guy probably didn't even really hoop, or however your mind might bring you whenever you hear community college. But I definitely want to put some respect on community college because it was an incredible experience. I learned a lot. I experienced a lot. I met some of the greatest people that I know to this day. Some of my closest friends are from that school. The competition is incredible. The education is, you really can't beat it for the price. Overall, it was a super cool experience, and anybody out there who may not, well, let me put it like this. The reason why I chose a community college, one, is because that was really the only school that was offering me a position or opportunity to play basketball. And two, I didn't grow up in the greatest financial situation. So it worked out both ways for me. And if you're someone who, one, don't have great finances as a family, and two, might be under recruited from a standpoint of like, I'm not getting looks from D3s, 2s, D1s, whatever it is, community college is really a great option. They're in the conference that I was in Southern Maine is the YSCC, Yankee Small College Conference, and in that conference you got some really good talented players. It's a competitive conference. I think the 2 years that I was there, we were second my first year, top three, I think 3 or 4 my second year. Both times we made it to conference championship and then Final Four my second year. Really solid experience. And then the actual division, it is a Division II USCAA, and we made it to a national tournament every single year, which was an even better experience than conference play at some points. It was really cool. You were able to go to, it was held in Philadelphia, at like the Penn State kind of mecca within Philadelphia. So it was really cool to be able to, it brought me back to a lot of AAU days where we were, as a team, we were in a hotel, show up, there's a cafeteria, we get food, watch other games, prepare for our game, mentally, physically. We then play our game, compete. It was really cool. That was both years for me. And if you are ever trying to look at a school and like community colleges on your radar because they're offering you or like giving you the opportunity to play, just don't overlook it, because the experience that I had was great. And I have a lot of friends that played at a Division 3 level, even Division 2, and they all look at me and they see the way that I post and talk about my experience at a community college and what I was able to accomplish there and all this good stuff. And they're like, man, I honestly wish that I went to a community college. I think that that would have been a better route for me. And it really can be. It really can be. There's just a negative connotation because of the word community in front of college. It's not a 4-year school. It's not a college. It's not a university. It is a community college. And unapologetically, that's what it is. It doesn't really try to be anything else. My coaches, Coach Richards and Coach AJ Burton, they do a great job there. I can't vouch for every single community college program, but those two for sure do a great job. And they made the experience a hell of a time, without question. It was great. But that was kind of my tenet about community college. My experience there was super cool. So my journey went from high school to college, played 2 years at SMCC, graduated there spring of 2020 with an associate's in health sciences. And then from there, I transferred to St. Joseph's College of Maine in Standish, the Division 3 school. I'm currently there, pursuing my bachelor's degree in exercise science. So I mentioned they're in Standish, Maine, a little bit more north than Portland, where Southern Maine Community College is. And I talked with the coach at St. Joe's, and I was able to get an opportunity to play there. And this was during COVID. So when most of the seasons were getting canceled, the actual entire regular season was canceled. We ended up getting about 7 games, but even before that, around Christmas break, we were granted to go home early. We were told to go home early because of COVID. Early as in like winter break. So normally we go home around, I think it's December 15th, but we went home probably 2, 3, maybe even a month before that. So we had a lot of time away from basketball. The coach did a good job having us get on Zoom calls, stay, together in this time that was just so isolated. And I thought he did a good job there. But personally, I struggled during that time of isolation mentally. So I was going through some mental battles, as I know everybody was. But during that time, I kind of fell out of love with playing basketball. So it was kind of a weird, like super weird time for me, because I was super passionate about playing basketball literally my entire life. But in a way, I look at it as kind of a blessing, because it was an opportunity for me to really dive into what I'm doing currently, and that's training. So during that time away from basketball, away from the season, I really started to dive into a lot more literature on sports performance, a lot more stuff on, people in the field and strength and conditioning and skill acquisition and player development and all this incredible stuff. And I was almost overwhelmed with the amount of information that I was pulling in. And I just found a new love for doing that, for reading articles, for listening to podcasts, watching videos, and taking notes and all this stuff. I've always been a very solid student, but definitely I gained a new perspective over that time, that I think it might be better for me to step away from basketball and just focus on this, because I knew going into St. Joe's that I was going to be a trainer. Didn't know if I was going to be 100% a strength and conditioning coach or a basketball guy, like basketball skills trainer, or a mesh of both. And during that time, I decided that I want to be a mesh of both. So I think during that time, it was good for me to really understand where my path was, and I was able to step away from basketball. And fortunately, the break away from the team was smooth. I'm still friends with everybody, still contact with the coach. It was super cool, and I'm very happy and just really appreciate the opportunity that the coaching staff gave me at St. Joe's, because they did not need to give me the opportunity to even practice with them. I never ended up playing a game with them. I only practiced with them, but I gained a good relationship with them there, and they gave me a cool opportunity to be able to practice with them. And I was confident that I was going to play some decent minutes there, but obviously, I want to say it was 2 or 3 weeks before games started. Like I was like, I just want to focus on school right now. I just want to focus on diving into this literature and really trying to become the greatest trainer that I could possibly be, and putting in that groundwork now. So could I have done both? Debatable. My girlfriend says I probably should have just muscled it out and played at least one more season. And I probably could have, but I'm not really upset with the decision that I made, because I'm super passionate about training. I wake up and I'm excited to read about this stuff. I'm excited whenever Joel Smith or Paul Favorites or Coleman Ayers put out a video or a podcast or whatever it is. Like I'm excited to see that stuff. So I think it was cool for me to be able to kind of shift my motivation from hooping as a player to then shifting over to helping hoopers, both physically, mentally, all this stuff. Like I was really able to identify my path, especially this past year. It's been a cool journey, and I'm only getting started. But after the decision for me to step away from basketball, I really ran with it, and I dove headfirst into everything, like I mentioned, and as well as obviously my schoolwork. Like I've been very diligent in that. I'm making sure to finish school. I'm set to graduate with my bachelor's next fall, December 2022. So I'll be graduated with my bachelor's in exercise science, focused in sports performance, and I'm minoring in coaching. So that'll be dope to have a degree. And it's definitely been a cool experience. St. Joe's has been cool. And actually this past fall semester, I was able to intern directly under the strength and conditioning coach at St. Joe's. His name is Jamie Collins, and he was awesome. It was cool to work directly under him. I was able to work with every single team at St. Joe's. It's a smaller college, but they have a lot of teams there. I was able to be exposed to what teams like swim, track and field, baseball, softball, golf, and then obviously your basketballs, soccer's, big sports like that. But just the contrast between maybe like a team like golf and swim versus basketball and soccer. It was cool to experience that. I did that for the whole semester. Myself and 4 other interns were there under Jamie. And shout out to Jamie, shout out to St. Joseph's College. They did a good job with that internship. And I thought it was a super cool experience to be in a weight room like that. That was the first time that I had really experienced like hands-on application, practical application within a weight room. So I think that was a super cool kind of ice-breaking internship for myself getting into the field. And this spring semester, I mentioned SMCC. I'm actually going to be interning there as an assistant coach, and as well as I'll be taking care of the sports performance and skill development for them. Not all of it, but I'll be helping out with that. Basically, I'll be doing all the sports performance, and then I'll be helping out their associate head coach, AJ Burton, with some skill development stuff. So I'm super looking forward to that. This winter break, I've been in there with them. If you follow me on Instagram, I posted some videos of them. They've been getting some work in. There's a couple guys on the team currently that I went to school with, play with, so it's cool to see them and kind of help them out, train them, and for them to respect me while doing so, because sometimes it can be tough training your friends. So it's been cool. I'm really looking forward to this semester. So with that being said, me taking care of the sports performance with SMCC this semester is a good transition into kind of what performance means to me. And obviously this podcast will be about everything performance in basketball. So to me, performance is really everything. Performance is not just weight room. It's not just movement. It's not just mobility. It's really everything. Everything ties in together. Everything works together. Performance to me is mental, your psychology. Are you okay? Are you mentally okay? Are you mentally stable? Are your coaches doing a good enough job training the mental as well as the physical? Performance is mobility. Performance is weight room, lifting heavy weights slow, lifting light weights fast, plyometrics, on court basketball. That is also performance. So whenever we talk about performance, sometimes I feel like there's this concept or a connotation that you're really only in the weight room to increase performance, but you can absolutely increase your performance off the court. Reading a book, understanding how to ground yourself a little bit more, understanding your emotions a little bit more, kind of coming at ease with your ego a little bit more. These kind of things all tie into performance. Not even to mention nutrition and sleep and all these other things. They all tie into performance, and to me, it's kind of constructs performance. So performance is so important, and I'm very passionate about it because it's not just one thing. It's so many things encapsulated into one that create performance. My guy Coleman Ayers put it really well. They're just pieces to the puzzle. So performance is a big ass puzzle, and this, nutrition, sleep, mobility, specifically big toe mobility or ankle mobility, heavy lifting and sprinting and plyometrics and all this stuff. These are the puzzle pieces, and you're trying to finish the puzzle. The puzzle is your overall performance as an athlete. So I'm super passionate about performance, and this entire podcast I'll be talking about how to increase your performance, articles doing so, books that I'm reading. I'll have guests on, and that transitions me into the second goal of this podcast, episode 1, which I kind of want to discuss the goals, the format, and just everything that entails this podcast going forward. So one, kind of the format will be some solo episodes like I'm doing right now, where, like I just mentioned, I will be discussing some articles, maybe a podcast, concepts within the field that might have to do with increasing your vertical or fat loss or, IQ, developing IQ, skill acquisition, a lot of stuff like that. And I'll bring articles and reference articles and make sure that I'm referencing everything that I'm putting out there, so you guys aren't thinking, where is he getting this information? I'll do the best that I can to also link them into the show notes too, so you guys can go take a look at that as well. I would love any sort of feedback on those kind of episodes. If you guys agree, disagree, whatever, love it all. So I'll have solo episodes like that, and then I'll also have interview episodes, which I'll get a guest on, and we'll discuss performance in basketball. I'll have trainers, I'll have coaches, I'll have professionals within this industry, and I'll also have athletes. So I want to get a lot of perspectives. I want to get, I already got my good friend Atencio Martin on for episode 2. Excited for that one. It was a really good episode. And like I said, I just want to get a whole bunch of different perspectives, because you can learn so much from people. And this is performance in basketball, so everything works towards a common goal, and that's increasing performance on the basketball court. That is increasing your abilities as a basketball player and becoming a better basketball player, but also becoming a better person too. Because if you're not a good person, you're not going to be a good basketball player, in my opinion. I think it all really comes to one. So having these, I already have a couple guests lined up. I'm super excited for those guys and girls in the future too. I think that'll be a good one. I'll get some female either athletes or professionals within this field, and I would love to hear their perspective in this industry as an athlete and the differences between male and female when training, as an athlete, all this kind of stuff. So I'm super excited to give you guys different perspectives, different information. It's gonna be really solid. And then as far as the schedule goes, ideally I'm gonna get one every week, or at the most every 2 weeks. But right now, I kind of want to see what's manageable for myself, and I don't want to tell you guys for sure it's going to be every week and then not have it out once a week, because that would suck for you guys. But like I said, I'm going to kind of pre-record some episodes so I'm prepared for once a week, and then hopefully stay ahead of schedule, whether those are solo episodes or interview episodes where I can schedule interviews with people. And I think that'll be a solid format, solid schedule, and then I'll have a concrete schedule for you guys within the next couple of weeks. And then I'll have some Q&As, whether on Instagram or maybe TikTok, whatever it is. I'll throw out a Q&A and then see if you guys want to ask me some questions. That'll be cool. And then that's kind of it for the format. But then actually the last thing I wanted to talk about is my brand, TC Performance, kind of my business as a whole. So my goal with TC Performance is cool. I have a big idea, a big vision for TC Performance, and it kind of revolves around exercise. I mentioned my concept on performance. So to me, exercise is a catalyst or a tool to a bigger picture, the relationships, influence, and impact that myself and the things I teach and believe in make on those around me is really what matters. So I want to breed a culture that lives far after I'm gone, create a community that just wants to become better with each other. So I really just want to breed an environment and a community and an industry and contribute to the existing industry with positivity and unity, and I just want to make everybody better, and I want everybody to make each other better. And that's really my goal for TC Performance, and this podcast is going to be just another catalyst for me to do so. It's a platform for me to reach more athletes, more coaches, more personalities, more people in general. And I'm super excited to get on podcast. Really excited to go forward. And I appreciate anybody who's listening. I think I'm going to wrap it up here. If I was rambling, I apologize. If my story wasn't all that, I apologize. But that is me, and I will update you guys on myself as that comes. I mentioned my Instagram earlier, so definitely follow me on that. TC performance _ same thing for TikTok, same name. So follow me on those two to kind of follow along with my journey, my training philosophies, all this stuff. So a lot of cool stuff coming soon from myself and TC Performance. So I appreciate you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next time.